Pro Tem of the LA City Council. President Pro Tem is the second in command of the City Council. Price was interested in getting the council presidency after Mary Martinez resigned a couple of weeks ago for her involvement in the City Hall racism scandal. But the council pulled up they called Corian last week. Now, people in former LA City Council President Mary Martinez's district will have a chance to elect someone to fill her seat.
The special election will take place in April. The LA City Council approved it during yesterday's Rocky City Council meeting, which was met with protesters calling on council members Kevin De Leon and Phil Cedillo to step down. This man says he's not surprised both councilmen were absent from the meeting.
I don't think either Cedillo or KDL are brave enough to show up and face these protesters.
Martinez remains the only city council member caught in the racism scandal to resign. Her former district includes parts of the San Fernando Valley. At City Hall, Lake Troy, KFI News. KFI News.
News is brought to you by Water Heaters Only. The recalled DA George Gascon campaign has been given an expedited hearing to try and force LA County into the campaign's demand. Organizer Tim Lineberger says the meeting is a win for voters.
We believe that we ultimately did submit signatures that represent 10% of registered voters in LA County as required to initiate the recall.
The campaign's demands include access to voters' previous addresses and previous signatures. The campaign also wants more days out of seat to review the ballot. The effort to remove DA Gascon failed in August after falling 90,000 signatures short. A right-wing activist from Irvine is pleaded guilty to using robocalls to charges tied to voter suppression in minority communities.
Almost 70,000 robocalls in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Ohio Attorney General Dave Gill says Jacob Wall and another man tried to intimidate black voters.
Calls reportedly advised people, yeah, we really careful about asking for an absentee ballot because vote electors, we're going to mine that information and come after it.
Doctors say other false claims believe use voter info to track down warrants that help officials read the info to force people to get vaccinated. The then takes 1 year in jail at sentencing set for next month in Orange County. Corbin Carson, KFI News.
Holocaust Museum LA says it's been the target of anti-Semitic attacks after Kanye West rejected the museum's invitation for a private tour. The museum extended the invitation to West via an Instagram stories post October 11th, following the rapper's recent inflammatory remarks about the Jewish community. The museum said he could visit Holocaust Museum LA to understand how hateful words can incite horrific violence and genocide. A Florida model actress who says Harvey Weinstein raped her in 2013 has testified that she wanted to die during the alleged sexual assault by the former film producer in her hotel room. The woman was in LA at the time for a film festival. She testified yesterday that starting the following day, she started drinking heavily. The woman was the first of 8 accusers to testify in the trial in downtown LA. A man from Torrance has been sentenced to 9 years in prison for scamming hundreds of potential homebuyers out of millions of dollars. U.S. Attorney's Office LA spokesman Tom Rosak says Alfonso Shawanki took $6 million from almost 400 people.
We're doing everything we can to obtain restitution for the victims in this scheme. So there's a hearing in a few weeks to determine what the total amount of restitution will be.
Rosak says Shawanki and his co-conspirators collected money for the short sale of homes that often were not for sale. He says sometimes homes were marketed with open houses by tricking homeowners into allowing their homes to be shown. And the two men campaigning in Pennsylvania for a seat in the U.S. Senate debated last night for the first and only time before Election Day. The state's Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman talks about a woman's right to choose.
If you believe that the choice of your reproductive freedom belongs to a preference, then you have a choice. But if you believe that the choice of abortion belongs to you and your doctor, that's what I fight for.
His opponent is Dr. Mehmet Oz.
I want women, doctors, local political leaders leading the democracy that's always allowed a nation to thrive and put the best ideas forward so states can decide for themselves.
The event was hosted by News Station. We'll get over to your drive with EKFI in the sky in the 210 in just a moment, but first it's Sports with Wayne.
The Clippers gave the Oklahoma Thunder their first win of the season by a lopsided score of 100-94. The Clips fall 2-2, and those two teams will play again tomorrow. The Lakers set the Denver Nuggets in 7, likely with Russell Westbrook without a sore hamstring. In hockey, the LA Kings defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning by a score of 4-2, and the Lightning will strike tonight in Anaheim against the Ducks at 7. I'm Wayne Westman, KFI Sports. If you're looking to get out of your house, Speedway is to sell your house with value for selling. Well, they haven't. They're time down and going down, so now's the time, right?
Pay cash within 10 days. That's directbuyers.com. It gives you an honest, no obligation offer up to $15,000 cash advance before closing, and they'll never lowball you. Go to directbuyers.com, call 844-242-SELL, directbuyers.com, 844-242-SELL.
Checking your KFI financial report. Right now, the Dow is up 93, S&P down 17, Nasdaq down 161, and the average price of a gallon of unleaded gas in California is $5.68. SoCal weather from KFI. We've got a sunny day ahead. Temperatures will just be in the mid-70s for everybody, low 70s at the beaches. That will bounce between the mid and upper 70s as we go through the weekend, but then cooler for Halloween. Let's get a look at your drive with KFI in the sky and the 210.
Boy. I've looked at clouds from both sides now. That's Shawnee Metro shooting my feet off. Stuff is a empty room. Now, most of the 210 I can see, and approaching the 605 coming off the 57, New Louisville. Actually continuing on to about Santa Anita. It's just going to be a short morning drive. There was a problem last time the ball hit his shoulder, so maybe that created some of it. Now, the place I'm having a problem with right now, noisy enough, but something bad happened. South 605 at Rose Hills. Now, I can see for a time that all lanes were blocked. I believe all lanes have reopened. At the back of the Devlin City, we're right over the 605-16 spinning around right now, coming down from Valley Boulevard. So I think once you get close to Rose Hill, things will improve. Also, there's a oops, okay, got something in here, but there's a problem eastbound 60 right around the 605 where it all West Drivers okay. What is one for Plaza, West Montero, West End, Montana, Metro, around slow 6 that way, so you be careful. Good way is going to be a busy morning, and then just off AFI in the sky.
Nobody can see. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens $5 coverage. Special repair plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found an answer that's not perfect. I can be damn with that. Medicare annual enrollment ends December 2nd. Find a plan that works for you at walgreens.com/Medicare.
When your home has savings and a fraud protection, Shadow was still out of water with 34 drains over both of your stepped-up drains at no charge. Middle air, 16 and 20. GOE, TTL, we do things the right way, not the easy way. Call Service Champions for an $88 precision meter tune-up or visit servicechampions.com.
Is there been an accident? Visit supermothersupermarket.com.
TDRB, all your employees up to 30% off. More stimulating talk. Today, work is able to be played by no handle. It's time in a single show. What do you expect? And now, here's Bill Handle. Behind closed doors at LA Federation of Labor building, in which Johnson people and Ryan Herrera is headed up the Federation. But the four of them are sitting there having a wonderful conversation. Billy Martinez, chair of council, started ranting racist rants about, insert
here. And coupled with that was the conversation about maintaining power in the district. And talking about maintaining power and then ripping into everybody else. Oh, Mike Quanden's district is all black. We need power, and so we have to split it up. I mean, crazy stuff. No, not crazy stuff. Logical stuff if you want to maintain power and redistrict. So now the fallout. So it turns out that I think they're trying to deflect. I know they're trying to deflect because they have asked the chief of Los Angeles LAPD to begin an investigation into 4 weeks. That, see, the issue is not the racism. You ask them, the issue is the leak. And that conversation was put on Reddit, and the LA Times was published. The LA Times was demanded to not publish or send anybody to the town sand, and who in fact came up and asked for the investigation by these very same people that the leak was all about. Even though Kevin DeLeon's office said, oh, no, we never asked for the investigation. Well, Chief Michael Moore said, oh, yes, he did. Yeah, all 3 of them asked for an investigation as to who caused the leak, because that's the danger here, is a leak. California's two-party consent when it comes to recording, and it turns out there wasn't two-party consent. They certainly didn't consent to how it went. And now, and it's a crime, by the way, not to violate that law. I get questions all the time on Saturday show, Handle on the Law, on Saturday mornings, and I get callers who are constantly saying, Bill, can I record something? Are you going to get the other side consent? No, I want to record a statement. It's against the law. Are they going to do anything about it? No. This one, yes, because it's such major public concern that they're diving into. And now, Reddit and the LA Times are defending themselves, saying, hey, even though we got it legally, we didn't steal it, we didn't record it, we just got it, and there's a First Amendment case. The Supreme Court said, listen, if we got it legally and it is a major public concern, you're protected under the First Amendment. So the only place they can go is to find out who recorded it and leaked it. And somehow that's going to take care of everything. That somehow is going to explain and somehow diminish the rant, the racist rant. Yeah, it's deflection. That's clearly what it is. And so what? So let's say someone is caught leaking. They know, they arrest that person, and it's usually, and it's going to be a mystery. Technically, it could be that involved. And so someone may get nailed, and there'll be, you've got a bunch of civil rights attorneys that will jump in between the defend and argue First Amendment. And in the meantime, you think there's going to be a deflection? Of course not. The pressure still continues. You have the 2 council people left. Dora Martinez resigned. So now you have Phil Cedillo and you have Kevin DeLeon saying, I'm not going to resign. I'm not, Kevin DeLeon specifically saying, I still have to represent the people of my district and I want them represented. Problem is, he's been yanked from all his committees. He has now been decommitteeized. Is that a verb?
Now it is.
So he's been decommitteeized, which means he has 0 power. And he's saying, but I still have to represent my district. Hang on a minute. You can't. You've taken all your power. And so that's going to go on. Now the question is he going to resign? Gil Cedillo, I don't think it matters. He's out in December. But Kevin DeLeon, who's up there and stays in that office till 2024, the pressure is going to be intense. He's going to have to tell his constituents, I don't give a rat's. I just don't care. Or say, I'm still representing you. Okay, no you're not. Yes I am. It's like, exactly, the analogy is perfect. I'm not bombing civilian targets. Yes you are. No I'm not. And I don't care what picture you say. Look at the man behind it. Oh, by the way, this is happening with Mayor Oz, right? Look at the man behind the curtain. Is he the wizard? I don't think so.
a huge cost for Californians, the cost of water. People are astounded we pay that much. We'll be back with that. Let's check in with Jennifer in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
A fire is burning in a vacant building in the North Hollywood area. It can be seen from the 170 freeway. It is a big fire. Now, the fire was reported at Laurel Canyon Boulevard at Sylvan Street about 6:30 this morning. It's a vacant building. A judge is ordering the state of New York to reinstate more than a dozen employees who were fired for failing to comply with vaccine mandates. And 15 of the world's top 20 universities are in the U.S., according to the latest U.S. News Best Global Universities ranking. Number 1 is Harvard, with Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, Stanford, and the University of Cal Berkeley, all in those top 20. We'll get a look at your drive. No SoCal weather from KFI. We've got a sunny day ahead. Temperatures will be in the 70s. This report is brought to you by Walgreens, from the Southern California Toyota Dealers Shopping Center. Let's go places. This time we're updating the 605.
We got to do Liz last time around. Now again, we're peering through clouds. We've got a lot of low clouds in space here, but southbound 605 at Rose Hill, you can kind of barely see it. But I think the good news, at least I can see traffic is starting to move now. One is all lanes. That's the reason for the delays on the South 605. Starting, well, a little bit south of the 10, actually, but I believe you'll be okay. The West 10 Drive from Azusa over towards 605, not the usual stuff, better speed to the 710, and not so good over the West 60 before Hacienda Boulevard, where the middle of the freeway is blocked, and looking at fire department trying to get through now. They're in that carpool lane, so if you look between Hacienda Boulevard and Azusa, give plenty of room. They're trying to get through. More coming up. Jeff KFI to the sky.
Anyway, Medicare plan with WPP. Until I found Walgreens Find Rx coverage. Compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. And find plans with low-cost co-payments. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare. This report is sponsored by Whole Foods Market. At Whole Foods Market, save on your guacamole obsession. Get 2 organic large avocados for just $4 through November 1st. Well, my flash. Try member save an extra 10%. Shop in store or online. Turn it off.
Hey, Jeff Armstrong and Jim A. Here. Going to the left from Armstrong and Mason. What's the positive for closing? What's that? Well, listen. COVID treatments like Paxlovid aren't free. But well, these medications can stop the illness from getting serious, so treat yourself. Call a healthcare provider or the statewide COVID hotline at 833-422-4255 to find a free treatment today. Again, that's 833-422-4255. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Hi, Tim Collins here from College Chevrolet, Costa Mesa. Silverados, Tahoes, and Suburbans are now arriving. Even the all-electric, affordable 23-volt EVs with incredible range are at CollegeChevrolet.com. Find new roads at College Chevrolet, the Orange County original since 1964.
California, you deserve more. And with United Healthcare, you'll get more. Annual enrollment is October 15th through December 15th through December 7th. So call United Healthcare today. With the United Healthcare Medicare Advantage Plan, you get more from your Medicare dollar, now including better than ever dental, vision, over-the-counter, and prescription drug coverage. Call United Healthcare at 1-888-CALL-UHC today and speak with a licensed sales agent. Benefit features and your devices vary by plan area. Limitations and exclusions apply.
It's DDRP's model year-end closeout. New travel trailers from $249 a month. That's up to 30% off. Tens of thousands in savings. DDRP.com. With a 405 meets the 22 Westminster.
The LA Times compared the homelessness plan to Karen Bass and Rick Caruso. What do they say about Bass's homelessness plan? They say it's far smaller than Caruso. And the Times' Steve Lopez called the Bass plan underwhelming and stuff we've heard before. Karen Bass says she won't even solve the homelessness problem after 4 years. It's more of the same empty City Hall talk. The Times says Rick Caruso's plan is bigger, with 30,000 beds in 300 days, hundreds of thousands of new affordable homes, a dramatic increase in mental health and addiction services, and 500 new sanitation workers to clean up our streets.
I want to wake up every day and fight with you, because this city is worth fighting for.
Fix homelessness now. Rick Caruso for mayor. Paid for by Rick Caruso for mayor 2022 general. Additional information is available at fx.lacity.org.
If you're involved in a mildly activity, just do it. That's like walk through the shower
has a bigger plan than Karen Bass does for housing. He wants 30,000 homeless housing, new housing units. She wants 15,000 for there. So the commercial reads, the LA Times has said Rick Caruso has a bigger plan. That's actually factually true. The fact that the LA Times has endorsed Bass is sort of left out of that commercial, don't you think? And by the way, I'm voting for Caruso, just to let you know, but I find that fascinating. Political commercials are, I think, hilarious. They truly are. Propositions, they're all liars. They're all liars. Yes is no, no is yes, up is down, sideways. That's a proposition. All right. Let's move to what is going on in the world around Southern California. Yesterday I was gone, and I was at a medical convention, getting back into the world of technology and full circle, right? So one of the people that I'm involved in happens to be a Brit. He's actually Scottish. He lives in London. I've known him for a couple of years. And we just got talking about water and how much it costs. He was stunned at the cost of water in Southern California. I mean, he just outright couldn't believe it. At the same time, they're paying $9 a gallon for gasoline, so we're stunned in the other direction. But he said, you pay that much for water? And I said, yeah. We're among the most expensive places in the world for water. For example, a family of four living off of $25,000 a year. Now that's poor. They're looking at a $200 a month bill. Oh my God, that kills them. 1 in 10 California households are in arrears already on water bills. And you're looking at California, one of the community leaders said, if we have a water discount, we at least have a little extra money for food or to buy our daughters, sons, clothes, shoes, they just need for school. Estimated 13 million Californians live in low-income houses, and man, they're getting nailed on the cost of water. Just to give you an idea of the cost of water, according to an index in NASDAQ, it's gone up 40% in some areas. And for people that are reasonably poor, that are near the poverty line, income level, that's pretty expensive stuff. And so there have been all kinds of bills introduced, and there was a bill, a Senate bill, that passed 222, and it actually, it was a subsidy, a state subsidy to help poor Californians pay for water. Governor Gavin Newsom, who is probably more pro-poor people than any governor we've had, vetoed the bill. He said, no. And in his veto message, here's the reason he vetoed it. The legislature came up with, you gotta subsidize water use among poor people in California. And he said, but they couldn't figure out a way to pay for it. Now, you just can't add billions of dollars to the general fund. And my point is, which I have made over and over again, is we are sitting on a $100 billion budget in surplus in the state of California. We've never had that. No state has ever had that. We have more money than we know what to do with, except we know what to do with it. For example, here's a program that's going to take a few $1 billion out of that surplus. And that is the cost of a program that subsidizes water across the state, because water is that expensive. And now we're talking about a $100 billion surplus this year. In 2 years, if a recession comes, and it will, revenues drop. And we won't see that kind of a surplus yet. The program will still exist. And so what does California do? Has to go in to borrow more money. And that is the program problem when you have new programs that come out of the general fund. is the general fund goes up and down. Programs that are instituted never go down unless they're sunsetted.
At American University. Well, continuing to issue
12.6% on a strong quarter for revenue growth over there. Bonds rose, yield on the 10-year T-note down to 4.01%. You're listening to Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Ningio, cybersecurity awareness training designed to build a culture of cybersecurity. 3-minute episodes and more that teach employees to be unhackable. Ningio.com. And by West Monroe, presenting the podcast, This is Digital, created to bring the digital mindset to your business by showing what digital looks like in real life, available across podcast apps. And by Chubb, serving small businesses with a customized suite of insurance products to fit their unique needs. Learn more at chubb.com.
Taylor Swift isn't just good at making records, she's so good at breaking them too. Hours after its release, her latest album became the most streamed album in a single day on Spotify. And she became the most streamed artist in a single day in the platform's history. Swiftie lovers, haters, and all the in-betweeners, join us for 1A's Record Club next time. Weeknights at 7 on 89.3 KPCC.
KPCC supporters include Merrill. Merrill, the bull, always has your back. Learn more at ml.com/bullish. Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Finner & Smith, Incorporated registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor, member SIPC.
Programming on 89.3 KPCC is made possible by Gordon and Donna Crawford, supporting quality journalism that makes Los Angeles a better place to live.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Rizdal. You might have seen earlier this week that the pandemic did damage to student test scores across the country, reading and math. That is the not great news. The somewhat better news is that public schools do still have much of the $190 billion that they got in pandemic relief money left over. The thing is, the school districts have very long lists of things they need or want to spend that money on, and fractions and vocabulary aren't necessarily right at the top. Marketplace's Stephanie Hughes has that one.
When kids returned to school full-time last year at the Umatilla District in Eastern Oregon, they'd kind of forgotten how to be in school. Heidi Sipe is superintendent there.
We saw students who were really having a hard time interacting with one another.
So Sipe spent some of the $5 million her district received from the federal government on summer camps where kids could relearn how to socialize while kayaking and cooking with solar ovens. She also hired extra instructional coaches and substitutes. But once the federal money's gone, she doesn't know how she'll pay them.
No, I do not know. I would love to tell you, yes, this is my exact plan.
She has a deadline. Districts have until September 2024 to spend the last of their COVID relief funds. And when the latest round came through last year, the government said only 20% of that is required to be spent on learning recovery.
That 20%? That was a guess.
Marguerite Rosa directs the Edunomics Lab at Georgetown, which estimates about 2/3 of the federal money remains to be spent. She says districts are only just realizing how far behind students are.
The question now is, should we pivot and direct more of that money to remedying these deep learning gaps?
Unfortunately, there are some problems you can't just throw money at. Nick Poliak leads a school district in suburban Chicago.
If I wanted to say, I'm going to hire 100 more teachers, okay, I could use the money that way, but there's nowhere to put them. There aren't enough of those teachers to hire.
He says logistics make it hard to spend on instruction.
I couldn't possibly spend that amount of money on those kind of supports.
Instead, Poliak's planning to put the money towards updating the HVAC systems in schools that were built more than 6 decades ago. I'm Stephanie Hughes for Marketplace.
You know how when we talk about mortgages, we almost always talk about the 30-year fixed rate mortgage? Yeah, well, that's a mostly American thing. Over in the UK, just for instance, home loans are way shorter term, anywhere between 2 and 5 years. So volatility in interest rates becomes a real thing. Oh, hello, the mini budget of former Prime Minister Liz Truss. Huge unfunded tax cuts, that is to say, tax cuts that would require a whole lot of government borrowing, which were greeted by the bond market with spiking interest rates. You see where I'm going here, yes? And sure, the Bank of England stepped in, but as Marketplace's Stephen Beard reports, the British housing market is spooked.
Buying his first home just north of London at the age of 26, Alex Nunn thought he was sitting pretty. But then came the mini budget and a big spike in mortgage interest rates.
We could be in a position where we can't afford to pay our mortgage. That's why it's so worrying at the moment. It's the not knowing, it's the uncertainty of what's to come.
Alex certainly faces the danger of losing his home. In January, his mortgage repayments could almost double when his...
Hey, I'm about to put $20 right into this can for Jerry's kids, and I want everyone... I'm fighting to guarantee Social Security and lower health care costs.
The saxophonist Wayne Shorter, who made him a star in 1974, doing a collaboration with him.
Set Fetterman aside. I genuinely mean this. Let's set Fetterman aside, because let's just do the Fetterman's a career politician thing, because he is. That's how he was groomed by his parents. He's been running for office and been in office forever, including mayor of a town that he destroyed in Pennsylvania. Okay, we got all that. Set all that aside. Fetterman has been working his way up to be a senator. He's now not going to be held back at all from being that senator. I've worked my way up from this to that, and now I'm going to be a senator. This is his crowning achievement, right? Because there's no way Lenny from Of Mice and Men is ever going to be president. So the senator's going to be the cap for him. What's wrong with his wife? How long would you let your wife, daughter, father, how long would you let them stand on a debate stage and speak in this way before you walked out on the debate stage and said, sorry, we are done here, we're withdrawing from the race, we're going to go home and get rest and rehabilitation? How long would it last? Not very. I think about my folks, right? My folks aren't old, but they're getting older, in their 60s now, right? That's the way it is. And I think if I was standing on the side of the debate stage and I was watching my father do this, you would have seen Jesse Kelly on camera last night as I stormed up there.
You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking.
How embarrassing for Giselle Fetterman. If you're listening right now, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Standard for Midas Gold Group. Ken Russo tells you how gold is your lifeboat of survival while investments sink. Don't go down with the ship. Tune in The Gold Standard this Saturday afternoon at 2:30 here at AM 870, The Answer.
Dennis Prager, weekdays at 9 a.m. on AM 870, The Answer.
This is the Opposite Freedom Show. Common sense in an uncommon way. Act like you know.
Welcome back.
We were at 85 today, saw a nearly $2.50 barrel gain to closer to $88 for West Texas Intermediate. Brent crude oil back at about $96. So after taking a bit of a break, oil had been as low as $83. Now we're back up to 88, a $5 increase, and that will probably cause some prices to go up at the pump in areas of the Northeast. But California still has a lot of downward potential, simply because of how much refining improvement there has been. Now, we did see the spot price of gasoline today increase a bit in the Southern California market. A couple more refinery issues resurfacing, but for now, I do think that there's more downside to prices. The LA average now $5.65. That's good for a 4-cent drop today alone. Just a week ago, we were paying nearly 28 cents more a gallon, and we should continue to see prices moderate to the tune of 15 to 30 cents over the next 2 weeks.
Check your screen there for Los Angeles and the drivers out there now. Where are the cheapest prices here in this area, Patrick?
Well, frankly, we've seen the return of more and more of these stations under $4 a gallon. The lowest right now, the Walmart in Lakewood, $4.69. A lot of the Arcos, $4.75, $4.79. Some of the wholesale clubs in the $4.80s. So there's a few more prices under $5. Although if you like paying more, you can do so. Generally speaking, in affluent areas, whether
we don't want to pay more. We're going to leave it right there. Gas Buddy Patrick DeHaan, the president of GasBuddy.com. Patrick, always great to have you with us live here. And we'll do it again tomorrow. Mopac on Money on 790 KABC.
Fall means shorter days and cooler nights, but this is Southern California. We grill all year long. And with football season in full swing, it's time to tailgate or home gate or backyard gate as you cheer on your favorite team while enjoying the great taste of Hoppy Premium Beef Franks. Fresh off the grill and loaded with your favorite topping. Chef Jamie Gwen here with some frank advice. Make sure your grill is clean and ready and the fridge is stocked with your favorite beverages and premium Hoppy beef franks, quarter pounders, or bacon-wrapped hot dogs, of course. For Thursday night, for college Saturday, for all-day Sunday and Monday nights, because friends and family are coming over and they're hungry. Hoppy hot dogs. So good, they're cravelicious. For recipes, cooking tips, and more, go to HoppyBrand.com. Hoppy hot dogs are available at Ralph's and Food for Less. Here at Total Wine & More, you'll love what you find this Halloween. Oh, hey, Frankenstein. Did you enjoy that Cabernet?
Oh, good. What's margarita?
Well, all the villagers are raving about this tequila. And we have it at the lowest price.
Economical.
Find what you love what you find, with the totally lowest prices for Halloween. Only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, B21.
Festivals, football, flannel. Some say fall is their favorite time of year. And this fall, there are now updated COVID-19 booster shots designed to help protect against COVID-19 variants. If you've had your primary series, schedule an updated COVID-19 booster shot appointment as soon as you're eligible. And don't forget to enjoy the foliage. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Income may be subject to state, local, or federal alternative minimum tax. When interest rates rise, prices fall. When interest rates fall, prices rise.
Did you know that municipal bonds are a way for investors to support civil projects while earning federally tax-free income? The Golden Gate Bridge, the tallest bridge in the U.S., was financed with municipal bonds. Are you looking to bridge the gap between the income of your working years and the income needed in retirement? Municipal bonds might provide the solution you're looking for. Henry Walsh is a leading specialist in tax-free municipal bonds and has provided investors with quality service and personal attention since 1990. Call now to receive their informative bond guide absolutely free. Dial 1-800-761-9761 to learn how to earn retirement income while keeping your taxes at bay. Just dial 1-800-761-9761 for a copy of their informative bond guide for free. No cost, no obligation. 1-800-761-9761. Henyon and Walsh Inc. Member of FINRA, SIPC.
Fast pace. We give you facts here. KABC, Los Angeles, Orange County, a Cumulus Media station. That's a fact. Here is the news.
KABC News at 7 o'clock. I'm Sharon Reardon. Good evening. For the first time in decades, the LA City Council formally condemned some of its own members.
The motion passed 12-0 to censure Gil Cedillo and Kevin De Leon. Both men refused to resign after being caught making racist remarks on that leaked audio tape. The vote only happened after the LAPD cleared the room of noisy protesters who want the pair to resign, among other things.
Okay, so the members of the public in the room, you've been told that you disrupted. You're being ordered to quietly leave the room right now.
As has become standard, Cedillo and De Leon skipped the meeting. Former council president Nuri Martinez avoided censure because she already quit. Kevin Tripp, KABC News.
A Wisconsin district attorney says there's satisfaction after a jury found Darrell Brooks Jr. guilty on all 76 counts stemming from a deadly parade attack last year that left six people dead and more than 60 others injured. He now faces imprisonment, 6 consecutive life sentences. plus 859 years of confinement. Susan Alker said the case was unique because the attack was caught on camera and it made it easier for the state to make their case. President Biden is promising his administration is taking action to put more money in the pockets of American families. The president claims they're going to eliminate junk fees like overdraft penalties from banks, hidden hotel costs, and extremely high credit card late fees. Not a word today, though, on how those changes could be or would be made. Californians are downloading an earthquake alert app after the biggest earthquake in 8 years. Dana Kodiak reports.
This comes after a 5.1 quake hit near San Jose Tuesday morning. The initial shape alert earthquake early warning system estimated a magnitude 4.8. That alert was issued by the USGS 5 seconds after the earthquake was detected. That estimate grew as shape alert card alerts were delivered to residents and seismologist Dr. Henry Bolte with the U.S. Geological Survey. Nearly 100,000 people were warned before the shaking started. Officials say thousands downloaded the MyShake app after the quake, which delivers a shake alert across California.
A marketplace pack believes change. Leave the hiring to Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and share candidates all in one place. Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit. News sponsored by Indeed.com. KABC says hot weather with that clear skies tonight, lows in the mid to upper 50s. Sunshine tomorrow. Highs ranging in the low to upper 70s for most areas. Currently at 68 degrees in Yorba Linda, 63 in Santa Monica. Back by popular demand, John Phillips reveals his 2022 ballot. See it now at KABC.com. Traffic up next.
Introducing the Twin Cities, whether it's homelessness, crime, education, cost of living, taxation, regulation, whatever subject you want to bring up, we don't do it well here. We're going to the right place. Fast-paced, fast way. AM 790, KABC. KABC Federal traffic right now. Breakdown, southbound 110 freeway northbound around 9th Street. Right lane has been blocked with that stall. Traffic much is down northbound 110 from the north is 10 freeway interchange. Also reporting on the 118 freeway eastbound Washington Boulevard stall. Middle lane shut down for a time there. Just now reported to be clearing, but traffic extra tough. 5 freeway northbound at Carmenita getting rid of an accident. Pickup truck on a car. And the middle lane blocked initially there. 710 freeway northbound at the 105. A stall being cleared. That's dependable traffic. Undershoot turn in James 790 KABC.
The Fine Arts Theater in Beverly Hills offers 70mm film screenings on the second Sunday of every month and live value movies every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Students and teachers are admitted straight to the Sunday morning movies with proper ID. Please visit FineArtsTheaterBH.com. Tune in to the Carl Berger Book-Based Lawyer Show, a different type of lawyer show, a different type of responding lawyer. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on AM 790 KABC. No matter what, you'll be entertained. This show is pre-recorded and furnished by CSW3.
This is with music production mogul. Says he has no intention of ever
Healing.
I think it's appropriate to investigate it. I think the findings will not change the overall context and how we view this event.
In California, it's illegal to record someone without their consent. The charge can range from a misdemeanor to a felony. I'm Erin Stone.
For local news anytime, go to LAist.com. Fresh air at 8. 1A is next. It is 7:06.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the Wallace Foundation, working to develop and share practices that can improve learning and enrichment for young people and the vitality of the arts for everyone. Ideas and information at wallacefoundation.org.
Hi, it's Suzanne Quatley. On the next morning edition, we'll hear about an opera making its West Coast premiere at the Music Center in downtown LA. Omar is based on the true story of an African scholar who became enslaved and later wrote about his experience. Taking the text from his memoir in Arabic, the original production came about through a collaboration between Rhiannon Gibbons and Michael Abels and features a largely black cast, a rarity on the opera stage. Morning edition, weekdays till 9 on KPCC.
This is 1A. I'm Jen White. Record numbers of Venezuelans are arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border. They're refugees fleeing a humanitarian crisis at home. But 2 weeks ago, the Biden administration announced it would start sending some Venezuelan migrants back to Mexico. That's left tens of thousands stranded south of the border. It's not the end they were expecting to their cross-continental journey, the most challenging part of which is likely the Darien Gap. That's a particularly dangerous stretch of jungle that straddles the Panama-Colombia border. According to Human Rights Watch, 32,000 people, mostly Venezuelans, passed through the 66-mile gap in August. That's 40 times more than the same month last year. We heard about the Darien Gap last month on 1A.
It was so difficult when I think about that time. I can't sleep. I thought that I was gonna die. I wanted to die. I thought that I was gonna go crazy in the forest.
That was Salimata Bakayoko. She fled violence in Ivory Coast with her infant son and husband. We spoke to her through an interpreter.
We spent 7 days. There was rain. We didn't have anything to eat. There was so much rain and so much mud that we couldn't walk. It was very difficult to walk. We left our country with a lot of things and we lost them during this time in the forest.
We wanted to learn more what it's like to trek through the Darien Gap and why are so many more migrants choosing to make the perilous week-long journey. Joining us is someone who recently crossed the Darien Gap herself. Molly O'Toole is the immigration and security reporter for the Los Angeles Times. She's currently working on a book about asylum seekers' journey to the U.S. And Molly joins us from San Diego, California. Molly, welcome to 1A.
Thanks for having me.
So you crossed the Darien Gap earlier this year. What was it like?
Yeah, it was actually just a few weeks ago. It's difficult to describe, and obviously the previous woman did it in such a powerful way through the translator. But as you said, I mean, it's one of the rainiest spots on the planet. It's one of the most dense tracts of land on the planet. You cross. You go up and down mountains. You're sort of pulling your own legs through knee-high mud. If I never see mud again in my life, that would be fine with me. You're constantly wet. You're never dry. We tried to keep track of how many times you crossed the river, and we lost count. We had to wait several times because the river's just so high. People are forming sort of human chains where they're holding each other's hand to try and get across the river. And, lots of families are doing this. More families are making this crossing than ever before. So picture really small children, 6-month-old babies, tiny little rubber boots, and people trying to carry them across the rivers. Many people run out of food. They think it will take them either because smugglers have lied to them or they want to believe the best. They think it'll take them much less time than it does. So they often don't bring sufficient supplies. So you have people sort of increasingly desperate. There is drug running, there's human trafficking, there's cartel activity, paramilitary activity, deadly snakes. I mean, you name it. This is what that crossing looks like.
Who were you with as you crossed the gap?
Well, I was with photojournalist Carlos Villalon and a big group of almost 600 migrants. And this is just in one group on one path. There's 2 main paths that people are using at this moment to cross the jungle. So probably 95% of that group were Venezuelan, but people from all around the world, from Nigeria, from Guinea, from Ghana, from Cameroon, from Egypt, from Syria, from China. People from all around the world, but the vast majority were Venezuelan, and a significant number, I would say probably at least 2/3 were families with young children.
Why are we seeing more people crossing the Darien Gap?
It's sort of a perfect storm, not to rely on the cliche, but actually of that group, the vast majority of whom were Venezuelan. A handful had come directly.
We would sort of refer to it as like the South adjacent. And so with that, like, what unique challenges does New River face based on its location, or does its location help you guys at all, or just talk about maybe the area you work in?
Absolutely, yeah, that's a really, very good point. So Virginia is a fascinating state because, right, it does span a wide range geographically, culturally, politically. Many states do. I'd say Virginia is really up there in terms of just how broad that span is, because Northern Virginia is basically the DC suburbs. It tends to be a pretty liberal area, pretty wealthy area. It's very different than Southwest Virginia, where we are located. Southwest Virginia, where we are, is much more rural, just lower population density, fewer major cities. It is generally lower income, generally more conservative, culturally and religiously. It's just a very different landscape, politically, culturally, and physically than the Virginia Beach area or the Northern Virginia area. So some of the challenges are very physical. Like we're working with patients with clients who don't have transportation. There isn't Lyft or Uber in many parts of Southwest Virginia. There might not be buses or taxis even. So there's those limitations. A drive that distance-wise might take an hour in eastern Northern Virginia could take 3 hours because we're going up and down mountains. Cell service can be spotty, internet can be spotty. There's all sorts of barriers like that. Also, there are the cultural factors. It is a pretty religious place. A lot of people have preconceived notions about abortion, or have opinions about abortion, or come from families that have opinions about abortion that makes it difficult for them to personally feel okay with abortion, or basically makes it hard for them to have family or community support for their decision. So I think those are all factors that we are dealing with in Southwest Virginia that are not unique, but are definitely a little bit different than some of the challenges faced by Northern Virginia, Eastern Virginia, Central Virginia. There are funds in other parts of the state. We work very closely with them. But part of the reason that the New River Abortion Fund was established was because our founder and the co-founders recognized that there are some differences in Southwest Virginia. There were some particular barriers and some particular types of support that would be useful in Southwest Virginia that were not kind of already in place with the other funds.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm sure too, because Virginia is a state where abortion is legal, you're helping, like you said earlier, a lot of patients from other states. Are there a few states that you seem to be getting the majority of your patients from? As I know, as we said, Virginia surrounds states that have pretty strict abortion bans.
We've really been receiving calls from people all over. Luckily, there are some other states in the South, like North Carolina, that were expected to completely lose abortion access, that have not, or there have been some kind of bans that have then been reversed, and there's been sort of times and places where people were able to access abortion care in their home state. I'd say we really do get calls from all over. We get, especially, definitely some surrounding states, but also Georgia, Florida, North and South Carolina. People are coming from all over. Another thing that's going on is because there are restrictions in other states, a lot of people are needing to delay care, which is in some places causing a backup in clinics that are able to see people later in pregnancy. We are close to a couple clinics in the DC and Maryland areas that do see people later in pregnancy, second, third trimester abortions. And we've been receiving a lot of requests too of people who need additional support to get to those locations. And sometimes it's, many funds across the state and across home states that people are coming from that work together in order to get people there. So yeah, don't necessarily want to be too specific about where people are coming from, the types of support that we provide, but we've been receiving a lot more calls from surrounding states, and it's very clear that the bans and restrictions in neighboring states are having a pretty significant impact on when and where people are able to access care.
And that, once again, sort of leads into our next question, which is, once again, so I went to school in Virginia, and when I was there, we saw the switch from a Democratic governor to a Republican governor. And so I wanted to ask, from your perspective, do you see the legal status of abortion changing at all in Virginia anytime soon, or are you worried about any new restrictions that may be popping up because of that change in legislature?
Right, like I said before, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, nothing changed in Virginia as of that day. There were no trigger laws in place. There was no immediate shift back to an older piece of legislation or the immediate introduction of a new one. However, unlike some other states, Virginia does not have protections for the level of abortion access we have now. So you can access care up to the end of access care. care up to the end of the second trimester, but that is not like written into the Constitution. That is not legally protected. That's just kind of because there was nothing else in place to further restrict abortion. The new governor, Governor Youngkin, has expressed support for at least a 15-week ban, potentially something more strict than that in the future. It is quite likely that that will be introduced in the coming legislative session in 2023. We provide mostly direct support to callers. We are less involved in the political action side. There are other organizations that are doing amazing work around protecting reproductive rights. So I'm definitely not an expert in this topic, but yes, it's definitely something that we are keeping an eye on. It's likely that there will be challenges to the current level of abortion access, or the current protections around abortion that exist in Virginia, and it would be very, devastating for abortion access in the state and for surrounding states that rely on Virginia clinics if there were to be a 15-week ban or anything more extreme than that.
You can support KPFK and our show today, Feminist Magazine. Just go to the kpfk.org website and click the donate button. It's easy. If you do that right now, your conscience is clear, you've done it for this fund drive, and then you can go back to listening to the rest of the show. Or you can call 818-985-5735 or 818-985-KPFK. And that is just one example of the kind of story we love to highlight. So, Feminist Magazine brings you voices like that, and also feminist artists and creatives, plus, of course, local activists, telling you ways that you can take action, plays into the appeal of seemingly outlandish